The one with the goat head, the wings, the human torso, and that torch burning between its horns. It's an image that has become synonymous with Satanism, the occult, and all things dark and mysterious. This figure is known as Baphomet, and its history is far more complex and fascinating than you might think. But where did this iconic, and often feared, symbol actually come from? Was it always a symbol of evil? To find the answers, we need to journey back in time, to an era of crusades, knights, and secret societies. Let's start with the name itself, Baphomet. The first time this name appears in historical records is during the trials of the Knights Templar in the early 14th century. The Knights Templar were a powerful and wealthy Catholic military order, famous for their role in the Crusades. But in 1307, King Philip IV of France, who was deeply in debt to the order, had them all arrested. He accused them of a whole laundry list of heresies, including spitting on the cross, engaging in homosexual acts, and, most famously, worshipping an idol in the form of a head, which they supposedly called Baphomet. Under extreme torture, many Templars confessed to these charges. They gave conflicting descriptions of this Baphomet. Some said it was a severed human head, others a wooden head with 3 faces, and some described it as a cat or even a demon. The problem is, these confessions were extracted under duress. When given the chance to speak freely before the Pope, many of the knights recanted their confessions, claiming they were tortured into lying. So, was Baphomet a real idol they worshipped? Most modern historians think it's highly unlikely. The charges were probably fabricated by King Philip to seize the Templars' immense wealth and eliminate them as a political and financial power. So, what about the name? Where did Baphomet come from if it was all made up? There are a few theories. One popular idea is that Baphomet was simply a French mispronunciation of Muhammad, the old French spelling of Muhammad. The Templars spent a lot of time in the Middle East, and their enemies may have accused them of secretly converting to Islam, a serious heresy at the time. The idea was that they were going native and worshipping the prophet of their enemies. Another theory, proposed by occultist Eliphas Lévi centuries later, suggested it was a coded anagram. He believed Baphomet spelled backwards. Temapab was a Latin anagram for Templi Omnium Hominum Pacis Abbas, which means the father of the temple of peace of all men. It's a clever idea, but there's no historical evidence to support it. Regardless of its origin, the association between Baphomet and the Knights Templar cemented the name's connection to heresy and secret, forbidden rituals. For hundreds of years after the Templar trials, the name Baphomet mostly faded into obscurity. It would pop up occasionally in literature about secret societies, but it didn't have a definitive image. That all changed in 1856. This is the year a French occultist named Eliphas Lévi published his book, Dogma and Ritual of High Magic. It was in this book that the world was introduced to the iconic goat-headed figure we know today. Lévi drew a picture he called the Baphomet of Mendes, or the sabbatical goat. This drawing was not meant to be a depiction of the devil. Instead, for Lévi, it was a complex symbol of balance, duality, and the totality of the universe. Let's break down Lévi's drawing, because every single part of it is symbolic. The figure is an amalgam of different creatures, representing the synthesis of all things. It has the head of a goat, which for Lévi represented fertility, generation, and the material world. Between the goat's horns burns a torch, which he called the flame of intelligence, symbolizing divine wisdom and enlightenment. The pentagram on its forehead, pointing upwards, is a symbol of light and humanity, not evil. The figure has a human torso, but it also has female breasts, making it androgynous. This represents the union of male and female principles, the ultimate balance of opposites. One arm points up towards a white moon, and the other points down towards a dark moon. On the arms are written the Latin words solve, dissolve, and coagulate. This is an alchemical principle meaning to break down and bring together, representing the constant cycle of creation and destruction in the universe. The figure has wings, symbolizing its spiritual or celestial nature. It sits on a cube, representing the earth or the material foundation. And finally, you'll see a caduceus, the staff with two intertwined snakes, rising from its groin area. This ancient symbol represents medicine, balance, and the life force. So, when you put it all together, Levi's Baphomet wasn't a demon to be worshipped. It was a complex philosophical symbol representing the harmony of opposites: good and evil, male and female, spirit and matter, light and dark. It was a visual representation of his occult philosophy. So how did this symbol of balance and universal harmony become the ultimate symbol of Satanism? The shift really started in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Anti-occult and anti-Masonic writers began to take Levi's image and strip it of its original meaning. They saw the goat, the horns, and the dark elements and immediately equated them with the devil. One of the most influential figures in this was a French writer named Taxil. In the 1890s, Taxil perpetrated a famous hoax, claiming that Freemasonry was a satanic cult that worshipped Baphomet. He wrote sensational books describing lurid rituals where Masons supposedly venerated this goat-headed demon. Years later, he publicly admitted that he had made it all up to mock both the Catholic Church and Freemasonry, but the damage was done. The connection between Baphomet and Satan worship was now firmly planted in the public imagination. The definitive cementing of Baphomet as a satanic symbol came much later. In the 1960s, this is when Anton LaVey founded the Church of Satan. LaVey was a master of theatrics and symbolism. He was looking for a powerful image to represent his new philosophy, which was not about worshiping a literal devil, but about embracing individualism, carnal desires, and rebellion against traditional religion. He adopted Levi's Baphomet, but with a twist. The Church of Satan created its own official emblem, known as the sigil of Baphomet. This version features the goat's head drawn within an inverted pentagram, which is itself enclosed in a circle. Around the circle are 5 Hebrew letters spelling out Leviathan, a mythical sea serpent from the Bible often associated with Satan. This sigil became the official trademark of the Church of Satan. By placing the goat head inside an asterisk, inverted asterisk pentagram, which had come to symbolize evil and rebellion, LaVey and the Church of Satan successfully rebranded Baphomet for a modern audience. It was no longer a complex symbol of esoteric balance. It was now the face of modern Satanism. In recent years, another organization has brought Baphomet into the spotlight: the Satanic Temple. Founded in 2013, the Satanic Temple is a non-theistic religious and activist group. They don't believe in a literal Satan or supernatural beings. Instead, they use the figure of Satan as a symbol of rebellion against tyranny and a champion of rational inquiry and personal freedom. In 2015, they unveiled a massive 9-foot-tall bronze statue of Baphomet. This statue was a bit different from Levi's drawing. While it maintains the goat head, wings, and solve coagula on the forearms, it features 2 children, a boy and a girl, standing on either side of Baphomet, looking up in adoration. The Satanic Temple says the statue is a symbol of religious pluralism and the rejection of dogmatic authority. Their goal was to place it on the grounds of the Oklahoma State Capitol, next to a 10 Commandments monument, to argue that if one religious monument is allowed on public property, then others should be too, to uphold the separation of church and state. After a court ruling, they moved it to Detroit and have since used it in similar protests for religious liberty in other states. This has made their statue of Baphomet a highly visible and controversial symbol in the ongoing culture wars in the United States. It's a protest piece, a symbol designed to challenge Christian privilege in the public square. So, When you see the image of Baphomet today, what are you really looking at? It's an image with a layered and contradictory history. It began as a mysterious name in the confessions of tortured knights. It was then reborn as a complex occult symbol of universal balance and harmony. Later, it was twisted into a cartoonish figure of demonic evil by propagandists. Then, it was reclaimed and rebranded as the primary symbol of modern satanic philosophy. And now, it's being used as a political tool in the fight for religious equality. Baphomet is not one thing. It is a symbol that has been constantly reinterpreted and redefined over the centuries, a mirror reflecting the beliefs, fears, and philosophies of the people who use it. It's a testament to how the meaning of a symbol can dramatically evolve from a mysterious idol to an occult diagram, a demonic caricature, and finally, a modern icon of rebellion. The story of Baphomet is a perfect example of how an image can take on a life of its own, far beyond the intentions of its creators.